The U.S. Army is soft as shit. Yeah. Talk to us about it.
So I have a very bold statement to make here, and it did catch me a little flack when we posted this article on Instagram. But the United States Army is weaker, smaller, and less white than ever.
Oh my gosh.
So let's get into this.
Okay.
And, allow me to defend myself and explain what was meant here.
A lot of people were mad at that title.
This whole report is available on VT.com if you're interested in reading the sources and everything. But let me take you back to 2011. A congressional commission launched in 2009 was studying diversity in the United States military, particularly the leadership. This was like very early DEI stuff.
Okay.
Back before they'd really put the label on it, but it was just to examine diversity. After this study went from 2009 to 2011 when this report came out, they came out with this finding that was published in an NBC News headline, which is, as you can see, too many whites and too many men lead the U.S. military.
Great.
So Congress identified this as a problem.
Oh my God.
In 2023, looks like they've gotten their wish. Let's go ahead and pull up this report from military.com. White male recruits in the United States Army have declined by almost 50% since 2018.
50%?
Wow. Yes.
Wow.
It's all trans that want to get the crotch.
I wonder
So,
why.
go ahead.
In 2018, there were 44,042 white male recruits.
Okay.
In 2023, there were 25,070.
Wow.
Oh, we're again.
That's massive. I mean,
That's massive.
all
That's
other things-
insane.
That's remarkable.
And that is not just a drop off of, a giant chunk in 1 year. It has declined steadily every year from 2018 to 2023. The biggest drop off came between 2022 and 2023 when it fell by 6%. But it has steadily gone down ever since. Now, the military.com data that we just threw up there, the Army did not give them regional data. So they just shared overall. Now, if you were to look at it by state level, do you think you might see a trend of, red southern states of people not wanting to join the Army? Can't imagine why people wouldn't want to hop in there anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
oh crap.
Now, at the same time, the percentages of black and Hispanic people have actually gone up. Blacks from 20 to 25, Hispanics from 17 to 24.
Are you 1,000 or percent?
A percent.
Okay.
That's a lot.
And that is not because more black and Hispanic people are enlisting. That is because the white percentage is dropping so quickly that it's proportionately higher.
Wow.
In the same way that, Christy being the only woman on a panel of 5, there's 20% female representation here. If half of us leave, her female representation goes up.
That was the purpose of the question. Raw numbers for blacks and Hispanics? Have they stayed the same? roughly?
They've stayed largely consistent. Now, the drop-off is much more significant than birth rates are dropping off. But in that window, the Army missed the recruitment goal last year, 2023, by 10,000 soldiers. They had a goal. They were 10,000 short.
Great.
Of that number, of the people they did get, only 44% of the people who came in were white males.
Oh my God.
All the rest of them were from other demographics.
Oh, just not to stop you, but do you guys realize the majority of these guys that but they sign up and they go and they fight in the Navy SEALs training, they're white guys.
Yeah.
Those are the majority of the white guys that are proud and fighting. There must be a reason that these guys are saying, you know what? Nope. Is it because the country that they love is not worth fighting for?
I'll get into some of the reasons why they're trying to explain this.
Okay.
But like it or not, this is a majority white country. You can hate that. You can want to change that. People actually are. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge that when you alienate the majority group, you end up with a military that will no longer be as strong or have as many people. So that's where you get into what I was saying earlier with the declining birth rates. We have some of the birth rate statistics and the population percentage change over time. And you can see that the population of white people, according to the latest census data, is going down. But not nearly at the rate it is in the military, which means you can't even explain it, there's more people of one demographic or another. It's just there are fewer white men going into the Army.
I'd be curious
to go.
Choosing to, exactly.
I'd be curious to know if that stat is reflected or similar to law enforcement in general.
That's a very good question.
Not knowing if you looked into
I wrote an article on VT.com, shameless plug, about how police all over the country are struggling to recruit people, even offering salaries, starting salaries with no experience at all, 100K, 115K, because no one wants to do the job.
Well, then you get the Mohammed Noors of the world. I'm not picking him in particular, other than the fact that he obviously was incompetent and shot, what was her name, Diamond. His Diamond through the window.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
So-
you get new recruits who are incompetent and
Incompetent.
Thinking that they would eliminate police brutality by putting in the criminal justice reforms since the death of George Floyd, they've instead increased the chance of brutality because you're hiring people with no experience because you're desperate, and you still only see 45-minute response rates in cities as big as LA.
It's really, and I'm doing this very, very fast. And there's two main reasons that I think it's that the country doesn't give a shit about them anymore. That they've made the left has made the cops and the military. You wave a flag, and it's the connotation is, look at that racist MAGA. By the way, MAGA. Make America Great Again. I never thought that'd be a racial thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you say defund the police and you're suing cops, why would you want to sign up? Why in your right mind would you want to do it?
Yeah, on the recruitment front, Patrick actually put out a video like 7-8 months ago talking about this. Yeah, the woke military
What a
crisis.
thumbnail.
There was a huge shortfall, even last year. Even according to the numbers they were reporting from 2022, the whole military was falling. But white people, like I said, the stats from the latest census and everything show that the population is smaller.
I actually thought that picture was the Ghostbusters 4.
Almost.
That is so freaking funny.
This would have been a more entertaining cast than that.
Ghostbusters 5.
But if you remember when they announced the census data and it said there were a smaller percentage of white people, they announced this on every late night comedy show and they applauded.
Yeah, I got an
and
Apple
they
News
laughed.
notification for that.
They
I was
love
like,
it, huh?
okay,
Because
that's kind of weird.
It seems kind of racist to celebrate when there's fewer of a certain
Yeah.
group of people, but
crazy.
you can't be racist against white people as it
Strange
turns
No,
out.
of
victory,
course you can't.
Victory lap to take. Just like,
So I wanted to touch on the possible explanations they floated for this.
Okay.
Because when they gave military.com all this information, they said it's possibly because of obesity that's making people not fit to meet the requirements.
Sorry, actually, stop there because I was going to ask you that question. Is it recruit or is it admitted past entry? Is it admitted past application?
General recruitment is
Those who make it in, period.
Yes.
Not submissions, but those who make it in, make the cut.
make the cut.
Okay, so they might be getting the same number of applicants, but they're cutting a lot of them due to weight.
Exactly.
Yes, they could say that because apparently only 23% of people 18 to 24 are mentally and physically fit for military service.
Which incidentally, is not an explanation at all, because it means that a lot of the other bad policies that are having an impact further down the line. So, okay, it's not white men not doing it. It's just we're destroying the white men earlier on.
everyone's obese and crazy.
These are the other reasons: obesity, underfunded public education that's making people not,
What?
That doesn't make
It doesn't make a lot of sense because the military usually recruits the people who aren't valedictorian.
Right.
Yeah.
No insult to the military, of course, but they know their audience.
No, but also they
I
do,
start
they do recruit, and the compensation is free education.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
a benefit, not okay. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no,
But here's
nothing makes sense anymore.
Here's the one that got me. Partisan scrutiny. They are saying that the military has become so politicized by the right that that white men. Because here's the direct quote. It's partisan scrutiny from quote conservative lawmakers and media, which has an overwhelmingly white audience.
Can I quote
It's
Ron Burgundy here?
disinformation.
That doesn't make any sense.
It really doesn't.
Yeah. So they're saying that because
It's fake news.
they're saying the right wing has convinced itself the army's woke, so they're telling their army of white men who watch the Fox News and Tucker Carlson at home, don't enlist in the military, and that's why the drop-off is.
Oh my God.
But I have another theory. Throw up a quick collage of things that might perhaps explain what we're
Wait
seeing.
a minute. Rachel Levine, which is
Admiral Richard/Rachel Levine, the drag queen who performed for the Navy for a while by the name of Harpy Daniels.
is that a little person on the right? Bottom right?
She's not a little
The
person.
guy on the bottom left, I see on TikTok. Or I've seen
Yes.
clips of on
yeah.
What's
TikTok.
his deal? I don't know.
Well,
that.
he's a
He's a drag.
He's in the Navy and he moonlights as a drag queen, and they hired him to do like LGBT relations with the Navy.
Shut up. I'm sorry, who paid him to do that?
The Navy.
The U.S.
You.
Navy.
The United
did.
States
Our
government.
tax
I didn't want to have an
Wait, can you go back, Kelly? Was that Hitler? Wait, was that Hitler in the middle?
Yeah, and
Who's that in the? Go back one more.
that's-
Was that Hitler? Oh, that's Biden with the red
photo
background.
right at the
Dark
center.
Brandon.
That is when Joe Biden stood up in front of the entire country and declared MAGA Republicans and politically radicalized white men are the biggest terrorist threat to this country.
Yeah, of course he did.
He's done
White-
this dozens of times since
white
then.
guys. And by the way, so what you're saying is no white guys are joining the military, and I mean it's I think that's good news actually because there's no missiles to shoot, so it's kind of coincides with it. You know what I mean? We have no missiles.
The only fringe benefit is you might be less likely to run off to war. Can you imagine though that explanation there that it's the right-wing media that's demonizing when you had Dark Brandon say that the greatest threat to democracy is
white people. MAGA.
It's just another example of confession through projection of accusing your enemies of doing exactly what you are yourself.
The left
But
loves it.
here's one last thing that I think is a major contributing factor. Remember 2021, General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, right there. He sat in front of Congress and said, "I want to understand white rage, and I'm white."
Confession through projection.
Oh
I have
God.
no doubt that man has rage and does terrible things.
Look at it, the bags under his eyes. If he got in an airplane, you have to check those things. It's a Baltinian on his eyes.
Soros eyes.
Yeah, it's that demon eyes.
It's if you're evil on the inside long enough, it starts to come out one way or the other.
Yeah, it's oozing under his eyelids.
The New Zealand woman Justine
Jacinda
Ardern. I made a before and after, not to judge a woman's looks, but to say like evil will catch up with
It'll start oozing on.
Millie looks
We're seeing
like evil
goblin
incarnate.
phenotypes come back in
Except Nancy
public-
Pelosi, she's like looking younger and younger.
Yeah,
which is
that's
really
adrenochrome.
weird.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but when you take all that together, what you're left with is a military establishment that continually denigrates and discredits white people, talks about how you guys are the biggest threat to the country, you are terrible, you're responsible for all oppression.
Yeah.
And eventually, you just get people who's like, why would I have any interest in serving a country that hates me?
That hates me.
Wait, we needed you. We needed you to fight our wars in
Yeah.
Ukraine. Wait, where'd you go?
Well, it's the same attitude with the people that the soldiers that now are like that they kicked out for not getting the vax. Now they're like, no, please come back. To hell with the needle.
I have stats on that too.
Yeah.
During the COVID vaccine mandate in the military, 8,400 service members were expelled across all branches of the military. And people were able to file for religious exemptions.
Yes.
But they were turned down in the following numbers. 8,945 soldiers, 10,800 airmen, 4,172 sailors, and 3,717 Marines were all denied religious exemptions to the vax. So either get it or be discharged.
Yep.
And we're at the very beginning of that, it was a dishonorable discharge, if you recall.
Wow.
And just to give a shout out, because I know he's watching, I connected with a gentleman, a guy, NYPD cop. His name is Lewis. Shout out to Lewis. We had a good conversation. Kelly was in the car with me too before we did the show with Brian Callen, and he's like, "Bro, I hung on as long as I could. I tried to do the religious exemption, and they're like, nope, he got it, and now he's starting to have heart racing things, and dude, it's like, and then he's wondering like, can you sue?"
Yeah.
Like, can we sue these people?
The military can't sue in general. They're the number one experiment victims of the U.S. government.
Yep.
So it's an amazing thing. Like in Canada, when we had our forest fires, I think it was last summer.
Yeah.
It's like, we have no firefighters. We're shipping in firefighters from South Africa. Because they literally fired people and kicked them out if they didn't get vaccinated. And now look, we are totally naked.
And crazy, not to go off subject because we have to close up. Justin Trudeau, did you find out about all those 14 fires that were happening in Canada? Apparently, it wasn't climate change. It was some guy that admitted he was arson lighting all these fires on fire.
It was arson, but the media told us it wasn't arson.
Climate change, the place is too hot.
Well, to bring this to a conclusion here, I'm not sitting here saying that the race demographics of the Army matter. The people in the military are the ones who volunteer to serve their country. Whatever their reasons for being there, they are people who are doing that. We rely on our military. It's our deterrent. It's our strength. And the color of that fighting force really shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
The reason it matters is because while the majority group is declining, the other groups are not rising up, which means we are smaller and weaker than ever.
Right.
It is not weaker and smaller than ever because we are less white, but we are seeing it get smaller and weaker at the same time.
Well,
it becomes less
you know
white.
what they're going to have to do? Let illegals
Import
join
them.
And that's what a great systematic.
It'll go from
Great segue.
offering free education to join the military to offering free citizenship if you join the military, and then you've basically you've created your mercenary army.
That's a private army.
That's the problem.
And a free gun that they can just turn on us. And, here's a gun. go against us.
They'll do the background checks. Come on.
Yeah.
Trust them.
Well, so Connor, thanks for scaring the shit out of everybody.